All right, I've got a natural edge bowl here that's already done. I've finished the outside, I finished the inside shape, and I just want to get it off of the glue block and get it reversed so we can see how to finish the bottom outside. So let's get it off the lathe, and I'm going to take it over to a block of wood that I have, and I'm going to break that glue line. One of the nice things about this CA glue that we're using is that it's brittle, and all I need to do is break it in order to get it off of here. I'm not going to part it off. Parting would be kind of nasty and tear things up, so I'm going to break it off, and that means taking the chisel, and I'm going to just tap it down into the glue line here until I get it right in the glue. The key is to be in the glue line. Hear it? Okay. And now we can see where the glue was around the outside rim, and I just break the glue and it's going to fall off. Now you wouldn't think that that came off so easy. Well, how with all the stresses of my turning is that holding on there? And it's the shear strength of that glue is so enormous that you'll never break that off of there. But yet you take a chisel and break the glue line and it'll fall off real easy. So let's get this back on the lathe again. I'm going to put the glue block back on with the faceplate. And I'm just going to clean up. I'm going to use a scraping mode to clean up the glue off of that. I want to wear my face shield for sure because of that glue and spitting up into my eyes. Little fine particles. And I'm just going to radius a little tiny roundedness to the glue block so that soft landing is going to go on the inside of my bowl. And I'm going to put some padding in here. I'm going to bring this up and I'm just going to drive it with the friction. Okay. I put the cone on here so that that sharp point is going to get in that little drill dimple that we first started with when we put the glue on there. We used a little coat hanger to center it, and that little drill dimple is still there, so it's going to give me a centering point. I need to know where the inside of my bowl is, so I'm going to take a pencil here and use my high-tech thumb to sight down here. I got to find out where the inside of my bowl is, and it just happens to be the inside of my bowl is right where that transition line is, okay? And now there's a wall thickness to the bowl, so I need, when I get done in the bottom, I need to have some wood left, and then I'm going to make the inside of the bottom a little bit concave, so where it's going to sit on the table is going to be out here. So I got 3 lines on there. This is the inside of the bowl, this is the wall thickness of the bottom, and that's where it's going to sit on the table, okay? So now, if I drive with just the friction of that, it's going to scarf up the inside of my bowl, so I use a piece of leather, and it gives me a little bit of a cushion but not too spongy. But if I put leather on the wet wood, it's going to transfer the color and it's going to dye or stain my wood. So I put a paper towel in first, and then the leather, and then bring it up, bring my tailstock up to it. And very gently going to hold it in place, test it, make sure that it's going to run true. It's running pretty good. I put my thumb here so I can see if it's running true. And then I'm going to tighten it up so that I'm going to drive with just the friction. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of all the waste all the way down to where it's going to sit on the table. Okay? So we're going to do a push cut right into the side of the tree. It's going to always be easier going the side grain, so I'm going to make my cut into the side of the tree, all the way down to the line where it's going to sit on the table. I'm making small cuts slowly. I'm not going to force this to, I'm just driving with friction, so I don't want to get too aggressive. Alright, so that's the mass of the wood out of there. I'm going to make this 10 and 2 small right now. Okay, the first thing I did is take it all the way down to the table height. Second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decide the diameter of the foot where it's going to sit on the table, and I'm going to do that by just taking a little bit of this waste wood away here, and I'm going to look at that and say, well, is that my diameter of the foot? Well, that looks pretty good. Let me shut the lathe off a minute. We're going to see what it looks like. I am going to ignore the junk here, and I'm just going to think about the shape of the bowl flowing into the foot, and that looks pretty good. It could be just a little bit smaller, but it's looking pretty good as far as the diameter goes. I think I'll make it just a little bit smaller, but it's pretty good. I'm going to take this down. I didn't quite hit my pencil line. Okay. All right, so now that's where it's going to sit on the table. Then the last thing I'm going to do is clean up the transition between the two. Move the tool rest over here. I'm going to lower the handle, use a pull cut, and we're just going to clean up the mess in between. Make a little bit of an OG shape here. All right, now in order to transition it into the rest of the bowl, I'm going to use this shear scrape if I can, so I can get my handle down. And we're just going to shear scrape this very gently into the highest spot of the bowl. Right now it's not running true because it's out of round. The bowl started to dry out already. If I take it down to the low spot of the bowl, then I'm going to leave a divot in where the high spot is. So there's going to be a spot here, right here, that's nice and smooth, and right here I still have a little bit of a bump, and that'll sand away because the bowl's not running true anymore after it's been turned and starts to dry. Okay, so we're done with the outside. We'd sand this, get it all done. On the inside, I want this inside to be a little bit concave, so when it sits on the table, it's going to sit out on the rim of the foot. I want it to sit on the table here and let it be concave in the middle. All right, I'm going to use a scraping cut, clean up the tool marks, get it nice and smooth. Now I like to give a little detail in there, so I'm going to use my spindle gouge. In fact, I'm going to roll a little bead here. We're just going to make a little rounded beaded surface here from the rim down in. We're going to round it in a little bit, okay? We'll leave a little bit of a recess there, and I can finish this, make this a little bit rounded here, make a little dome in the bottom. I can even go way back over here and I can shear scrape with the bottom of my spindle gouge so I can get down into that detail. I make a little dome in the bottom. Okay. Let's make this tenon just a little bit smaller because whatever's left I got to chisel off by hand. And we'll go finish the bottom off the lathe. We're all done.